All right, let's pretend that you're a homeowner who wants to sell a house in Gerald, Texas, and that home is occupied by a tenant. What would you do? What do you think are your options if you're planning on selling a home in Gerald, Texas, with the current lease not ending until July 2026, July of this year? Well, I just ended a call with one of our leads, seller leads, and they wanted to put this home for sale, right, on the market. I say, yeah, sure, I'll do the analysis and everything. But after digging and asking follow-up questions, they're actually not living in the property. It's a rental property. And that lease doesn't end until July of 2026. They're currently getting $2,100 a month, but it is a big home or a bigger home, more than really your typical investment property. This home is over 2,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2 stories in Gerald. They're getting $2,100. I think just kind of fair analysis on the home. I haven't really done the analysis, but it's going to be around $360,000 home. Okay, so they bought it for $365 2 years ago in 2024. So I think the market hits a little bit slower in that area. So it's gonna be probably around 360 or so. So imagine what your payment is gonna be at $360,000 with as you guys probably know, the investor interest rate is gonna be anywhere between 3/4 to a full point higher than if you're buying the property as your primary residence. So if you're looking to invest in real estate, your interest rate is going to be higher because you're an investor. There is more risk to the banks. So buying somebody to buy a $360,000 home in Gerald with a 7% interest rate, let's say, your payment is definitely going to be higher than $2,100, which is what he's getting in rent right now. So a typical investor is not gonna want to buy this house. That's for sure. I would not buy the house as an investment. It just doesn't cash flow. It's just not even close to what my mortgage payment is gonna be. So that means that marketing to investors is pretty much out of the question. Now, can you market this property to a primary owner, right? A homestead, to somebody buying it as a first-time home buyer or second move-up buyer or something like that? Well, the answer is no. Do you guys know why? Do you know why I would not be able to sell a house that has a current tenant until July of 2026? The answer is because there are some rules that if you're buying this property as your primary residence, you have to occupy the property within 60 months. That is some of the guidelines on most of the loans. So if you're buying as a primary residence, if we go under contract now, or let's say that I market the property, put it on the MLS, and I'm able to find a buyer, and I get under contract, let's say next month or so, February, then that will end in March. That's the closing will be somewhere in March. Well, March, April, and May, so the tenant, we have to respect the tenant lease. So it's not like you can kick off the tenant. We have to respect his lease that doesn't end until July. So that means it's more than 60 days after closing. So that means a lender would not be able to give a loan to a buyer, potential buyer, wanting to buy this particular home because there's a tenant in place. So what are the options? Well, I said, one, you can wait. But by waiting after July, that means that we're not going to start the process until August once the home is vacant. It's kind of late in the process, right? We're already, in the summer or ending the summer, and it's kind of late in the year to start. I mean, it's not that you can sell a home in August, right? But it's not the ideal. The prime time to be listing a home for sale is probably early spring, which is March, April, May. Those are like the best time to really list a house for sale. So you don't really want to miss that time because there is a tenant in place. Now, can you kick out the tenant? No, you can't do that. You have to respect the lease. So what options are there? Well, one is I suggested, well, you can wait, but I don't recommend that. The other way is like, hey, it's $2,100 a month. Okay. Why not talk to the tenant and see if they're willing to move out earlier than July, than the end of July, which is when the lease ends. See if they can move out in March or April, and as an incentive you can say, hey, I'll credit you back, or I'll give you a free month, the last month for free. You're gonna be losing, as a homeowner, you're gonna be losing $2,100 in rent. I get it, but you're gonna end up losing more by waiting until August to list the house, in my opinion. So because you're gonna miss the critical time, frame to sell a house. So what are your opinions on this? Am I missing something else here? Maybe something else that I haven't thought about? Because marketing to investors is really not ideal. I don't think that's really gonna work. I wouldn't buy a house this big, 2,400 square feet, 2,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. That's gonna be listed in the 360 or so, 370. I wouldn't buy this house as an investment property. So what would you do? I'm just kind of wondering, do you think my suggestion was logical? Like, hey, talk to the tenant, see if they can leave earlier, and then, give them an incentive, give them a free month.